What is up, everybody? CP and SJ with you here for another week of picks from every day we're covering as we're into the semifinals of the college football playoff here for the 25-26 campaign. SJ, we're down to the nitty gritty here. We got four teams. Nice thing is it's some new names, not necessarily the traditional big dogs. We got those out of the way the last round, and now we'll see. Well, hopefully we'll end up with some good games to watch here.
Yeah, if you take the numbers off before the name, it even get a little crazier with seeing in Indiana there. Probably have to rub your eyes there, but of course they deserving. We've talked about that time and time again. But just take away that number one, you'd be like, man, what the hell happened to college football this season? But that's what you want. You don't want it to be so predictable. You want whoever's playing the best and to win it on the field, and hopefully that's the case here. But it's going to be hard to. Speaking of Indiana, they looked real good in that last game. So. We got to take that into consideration as we head into the weekend.
Yeah, well, so far here in this new age or whatever of college football, this NIL era, we've actually had some other teams, find a way to just, bring themselves up in a very short amount of time and insert themselves into the conversation now for a national championship, which is nice to see because, I think probably the prevailing thought was it would be the other way around. The big dogs would just get bigger, but that hasn't been the case so far. And don't get a first round bye. That's been also the theme. And the only team that's been able to avoid that so far is Indiana. So yeah, it's been the theme here so far is don't be too good during the regular season, I guess.
I mean, honestly, it's hard to correlate because it's a different game, but it was kind of that way in the NFL forever. We'd see that, wild card team make a run and the number one seed, we'd be sitting at home for 10 days or whatever, maybe 14 essentially, if they kind of tank the last week or so of the season, and then you end up losing. So there's a recipe there, at least in the football game, and maybe not in other sports, but that has you can't really argue with that. Last year, we say, oh, maybe it was a fluke because first year of the 12-team playoff. Now there's some evidence there, and I think we can kind of, at least for now, say there's something to that.
Well, and it certainly pushes forward that argument of should those teams also be playing at home in those quarterfinal round games. Maybe we'll get there at that point too. That might be part of it.
Yeah, and there's always that. I guess there's that delay in college football. It's like why are we waiting so long to play these bowl games and then championships? So I mean, it's gotten better for the teams that make the playoff, but maybe even we need to speed it up even a little bit more. I think, but those TV dollars don't like that.
Yeah, they decide the schedule. That's for sure. We're going to start things off here on Thursday night, January the 8th, for our first semifinal game out at the Fiesta Bowl. It will be Miami taking on Ole Miss. Certainly not the matchup I think anybody expected at this point. Whether you thought one team or the other would be in this game, I don't think you would have thought both would be in this game. Right now, I'm showing Miami is around a 3-point favorite, depending on where you're at, 3.5. And then the total sitting right around 52 or 52.5, depending on where you're getting it in the books. SJ, what are you looking at here in this one?
Well, I mean, lead into that last selection show, a lot of people, is Miami even going to be in it?
Yeah.
They were kind of left for dead with saying like, oh, they didn't make their championship game. Like they got no way to kind of, and something, I mean, I do think that, based upon their whole season, they were deserving, but it didn't look good for them. But once they got in, they've taken advantage. That first matchup wasn't so pleasing to the eye unless you're a fan of that school because you just want to get the win. But they definitely made up for that and then some with that win over Ohio State. Where I mean, it was a dominant win. I know it wasn't like a total blowout, but they weren't. It was like Miami's going to win this game pretty much from start.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't like Ohio State may make a run here, but Miami was in control. You can't really deny that, no matter which side of that game you were on. So you got to figure that factors in heavily. Of course, Ole Miss is had their own chaos to kind of deal with here with the coaching change and who's staying, who's going. Trying to get these players to transfer while they're still preparing for the biggest game of their life to this point for most of them, at least. So that factors in as well. I do think Miami is just you look at these brackets when they come out and say who's got kind of like a break, who's got a path here where if things go right and they get a maybe make a play here or kind of pull off a bit of an upset, which I would say they did last game against Ohio State, and then things set up nicely for them to make a run and who knows, maybe win the whole damn thing. I do think Miami's got a good shot as far as how it sets up. Like I still got to go and execute and do all the things, but it just as from when you talk about offense, defense, special teams, line of scrimmage, tackling, turnovers, you factor in all those types of things. I think Miami just has a little bit of an edge as far as more of a complete team. Ole Miss is still kind of living on that high risk, high reward. Let's go crazy, light up the scoreboard, and then we'll be okay. If we don't, it could not end well. And you saw they had to do that last game, which to their credit they did. But I don't know if that's hard to do consistently, no matter how good you are, and we've seen it even with the best of teams. So I'm definitely gonna lean Miami in this one, and I'll even go ahead and take to cover that number there, that 3.5 points. And then I mean, on top of it, I like that overs too, though. I do think it will be, what's that, 26-26, if just half. So in the high 20s, low 30s type of game, even mid 30s, I wouldn't be surprised someone to hit that number. So I think these teams will put on a better show than maybe they had. And last week, both of them did well, but I think it could be a back and forth deal. I just think when push comes to shove, literally, Miami's going to be a little bit more of a tougher team along the lines, especially with their offensive front. They can pound the rock a little bit more than I think they're given credit for.
Yeah, that's true. And their running back Fletcher's done a good job these last couple of games getting going because he was out for a while with an injury, and he's been back, and they've really run the ball well. So that has been impressive. The other thing too about them that I think everybody's quick to forget, they've got a guy that's been there, done that, in Carson Beck. I mean, he's been there with Georgia and no problem. So this is a good spot for him as far as that is concerned. I was obviously very impressed though with the way Trinidad Chambliss played in that last game. I mean, the guy was on fire there for a while, and if he can duplicate that, yeah, they're going to have a chance in this game. I'm with you. I'm kind of leaning Miami, but I'm going to stick my picks, I guess, on the totals. Because I'm going to go with that over as well. I think that this is definitely not one that leans defense. So you would expect the offenses to get going here. Of course, that's what we thought first round with Miami A&M. That didn't happen, but I think this is a little bit more sure. Especially like you said with Ole Miss, they really rely on that. They're going to do everything they can to try to score points because they know they need to. So I'm going to go with that over as well, over that 52 mark, and then along with that, I noticed that if you look at there's some props out there as far as the scoring totals go. And if you go to the touchdowns and you get to 7 or more scores, which is what I expect as easily to get to, you're getting plus money at plus 101 there. So, a little bit of juice. It's not a lot, but at least you're getting something there. So I would go with that as well to add to it, because I just think there is going to be some points scored here in this game, whether it's the offenses and probably special teams too. I think in this game maybe has a little bit to say with that. At least getting good field position for them to score. You saw that a lot with Ole Miss in the last round. So I think, this is going to be one of those, hopefully that's a fun shootout to watch.
Yeah, you mentioned the props. Sometimes you gotta shop around a little bit for these when it comes to the college game, because there's not just the proliferation of props as there is in pro sports, and we can understand why and the legalities and just as far as trying
Yeah.
to keep that money in house. But you mentioned Fletcher, and definitely like him on one prop if you can find it somewhere. An anytime touchdown. Of course, he leads the team in carries, has 10 touchdowns on the season, and then also Chambliss, two passing touchdowns, a prop on him. He's got 21 touchdowns on the season compared to just 3 interceptions. So that's a hell of a ratio there. And of course, we expect a high scoring game in this one, back and forth. And you got to figure at least a couple of those scores are coming, on the strength of his arm. So there's a couple of props I was able to find that I think those could maybe, you pair it with the over the total, kind of play with it a little bit, get yourself get however much, odds you like on your end, and combine those, play them as singles, do whatever. But those are a few picks I think you could, we had a little bit of rough week. Let's, kind of get back on the other side and pad the wall a little bit there.
Yeah. I couldn't find it on the particular app that I use most of the time, but I also, if you're looking at Fletcher too, if you can find his yardage total, I think what I saw in most places it was like at 81.5. And he's been going for over 100 the last couple of games, I think. So that would be one also I would look at, because they are, like you said, kind of running the ball well right now for that team. Next game, of course, then is Friday night to the semifinal of the Peach Bowl between Oregon and Indiana, rematch from the regular season. 47.5 or 47, depending on where you're looking for the total. And then right now I'm seeing 3.5 as Indiana as the favorite here in this game. Another 6:30 kickoff on Friday night. Obviously, we've talked, a lot about and everybody has. This is a unique situation, certainly for a program that hasn't been there. Well, and of course, we mentioned too, you've talking about the losingest program in FBS history is Indiana. They've lost the most games out of any school. So that kind of gives you that, history bias, so to speak. But doesn't matter. Every season is different, and we fail to do that as fans sometimes, and just look at it as what it is, as the year it is. And they are playing really good football right now. They don't make mistakes. They just execute really well. And, that's a credit to Signetti and what he's done as a coaching staff and getting them prepared, obviously. They've got a quarterback that you can tell he's a little quirky, but he's got that preparation mindset. He knows what's going to come to him, and he's ready for it. And I think that's part of it too here. It's weird sometimes how you see some of these guys who they don't necessarily fit in with the regular societal mode norm, but they're pretty good at what they do. And I think that's what's going on right now here with this Indiana team, and especially up front. Their line is just so good. They just don't make a lot of mistakes, like I said. So I feel better about the total. It was much higher earlier in the week. So that tells you, I guess, that people are betting the other way for whatever that means. But I just think that Indiana is the better team and in playing better right now. If you go by a lot of times we get into like March Madness, you're talking about the team that's hot, and Indiana's the team that's hot. So I don't see any reason to go against them. I'm going to play that 3.5 for them to cover. I think they win this game by a score at least, and kind of get the moving on there.
Yeah, I guess I made a couple of prop picks on this one as well, and then also played with that spread and total. So I'll start with we like to do our confidence. I'll go on my most confident picks to my least one, and the props is where I'm starting on this one because we think we know and then we don't know. So I'm a little nervous with this one just because of that. It's like you get it all figured out and then you don't. So as far as the props go, I'm starting with another anytime touchdown prop here with the receiver Surratt. He has 13 touchdowns on the season, and he's actually caught a touchdown in every game this year except for two games. So you got to like your odds there. And, of course, just the way Indiana's offense has been playing, kind of lighten up that score, but it's particularly last week. So you got to like the odds on that one. And then this one was – I was like, this isn't one the thing I normally pick is kind of not really out in left field, but I just don't really like to I don't know, it seems like a little bit I just not my cup of tea here, but we're combining Mendoza and Moore. So both of them combined need to get 400 yards passing, which I don't know if it's going to be the shootout that Miami and Ole Miss is, but I definitely could see them getting, Moore's, last 5 games, he's got 234 yards or more in his last 5 games. And Mendoza's just been, I know his stats, when you look at him, you're like, man, that's kind of crazy that his passing yardage per game isn't as high as you think it'd be. He's got a couple, 300 games there, but then he, kind of, he didn't even hit 200 yards last game, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But it also I do think that's not even. I mean, it's just because it's not necessary. Like if they'd have kept pounding them or really stretching the field, they could have even added to that total. So, but I mean, just get 200 yards each, or somebody goes crazy gets 250. We only need 155 or 175 from the other guy, and we're sitting good. So that's it's a little bit of a different type of play. But I was like, man, I'd be surprised if they don't hit that mark to combine between the two. So I guess those would be my more confident ones, and probably the touchdown for Surratt would be my most confident pick. I'm fairly confident on that total as well, though. 46.5, I believe, is where I snuck it. I don't know if that's what you had as well, but that's a decent number there. I know last time they played it was a little ugly, a little different, but I just don't think it's going to play out the same. I think it's going to be a little more offensive, and we're talking about these games in controlled environments. The weather doesn't really matter. What they used to say is it's a fast track. It's like, the track meet, whatever you want to call it. So I think that will kind of benefit the offenses as well. The last pick, I'm just going to get a little crazy here and say, why the hell not? Like I said, we think we know, we don't know. Since Oregon's a decent, not a great, not like a heavy underdog, but enough of where you would still. I think honestly, I think it should be more like a touchdown. I think it's a little bit low. That shows you kind of just speaks to the fact of still can't get over the IU on the helmet. I don't think that's still kind of holding people back. But and I would have liked to take that number if it was like 6.5, 7, even like 10, which to me, I think that'd be a little more accurate. But the familiarity of the opponent, I think, does benefit Oregon somewhat. And I don't know. I could just, see we haven't had to me, it hasn't been like chaos yet. I guess Ohio State losing was like unexpected, but It wasn't like we'd seen them lose before. Now, if they had beaten Indiana and come into the playoffs unbeaten, and then Miami did what they did to them, I think we're like, oh crap, what the hell just happened? But we're
Yeah.
still waiting for that. If there's going to be any type of upsetting the apple cart, it would be this game. So just for fun, for funsies, let's go ahead. I don't think it's a long shot too much, and I'm just going to take them straight up moneyline Oregon plus 150, plus 155. Some books getting it. This is the lowest confidence. Um, but I mean I can say happening too. It's not like it's that much out of the realm of possibility. So why not have some fun with that? But definitely going heavy on those other picks. But I don't think this is necessarily like there's no way. It's not that type of a deal.
No, I agree. I'm gonna go my secondary pick on this game too. I guess I'm gonna go opposite of where you were going with the total. I'm gonna play the devil's advocate here and go with the under. I think they do muck it up a little bit more. I mean, a lot of the so-called computer models or whatever the hell they are that play this thing out are leaning that direction. And lately what I think hasn't been real smart. So maybe I'll trust a computer on one. Like you said, for funsies, I'm going to go with the computer. So yeah, I'm going to go under on this one just to see what happens here. I think it might get a little. I mean, I think they'll get close. I think it's going to be close to that number. I mean, of course, it normally is. They seem to know how to get close to that total somehow. But I think they're going to sneak under it. I think there's going to be a little bit more defense than we expect here from these two teams, especially the way it played last round. If you're playing off of that bias wise, you're going to go way over. Just if you saw him play last round. But I think it stays a little bit more tempered here in this one. Maybe a few mistakes here and there for both teams, like we haven't seen lately. I'm going to throw a couple of just bonus throws in here for you for the NFL coming up here this weekend. Of course, whether or not you follow the sport closely or care, depending on whether your team is in it or not. I know I'm one of those guys where my team's not in it, then I'm definitely not as interested as I usually am. But I did see some lines, and I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, I don't believe this. And I could be wrong because it is pretty hard most of the time to predict where it's going in the NFL. But I just don't see these ones not happening, honestly. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the New England Patriots are only a 3.5-point favorite against the Chargers. I just feel like that's an easy get here for the Pats. I mean, I know the Chargers will probably play better than I expect them to, but they don't have the horses, and they don't have the season resume for sure that the Patriots have here so far. So I think that plays in the Pats' favor in that one. So I'm going to go Pats to cover the 3.5, and then the other one. I feel pretty good about this one because I think this team is playing really good right now. And I don't know why this number is so low. Maybe, of course, everybody's going to say, well, Vegas knows something. But the Texans only laying 3 against the Steelers. I mean, the Steelers got in because somebody yacked a field goal. Like the Texans have won 9 straight football games. They've got lots of weapons out there. I like the way they're playing right now. I'm going to go Texans to cover that. I just don't see that one not coming true.
Yeah, they benefit from a shanked field goal after they missed an extra point on top of it all. So it's like that, they were whatever sorcery or voodoo Rodgers was up to, it paid off. Yeah. Even in that game, I like that total as well. 39.5. That's I mean, give me a 21-20, we're in.
Yeah,
so I'd play with that too. And then also, I know they kind of. Surprisingly, they're in the field and they're the first game of the weekend, but that 10.5 is really high.
Yeah.
I like Carolina to cover that one. So there's 2 I'll throw on the mix there too. Just I can't imagine this. I know the Rams are getting hot and playing well, but that's a big number for actually a Carolina team that's playing fairly decent.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of think Carolina, they must suck. Nah. And even like a Jacksonville, they're only a 1-point underdog. So that these teams that you just kind of you got to forget those helmets. It's just a different time in sports.
Mm-hmm.
Pro level's kind of been a little more up and down, but especially at college, you gotta take the team for what they are and what's on the field that day.
Yeah, I'm with you. I had that one in my list too with the Panthers. I thought about that too. Like that's tempting. I mean, that's tempting any week in the regular season. You're gonna give me that in the playoffs? That's crazy. I don't know. I don't get that. And it's not like the Rams have been like kicking everybody's ass or anything lately.
Hey, as a guy that was on them last week and they about blew that against the Cardinals with Jacoby Brissett in the game, I mean, yeah, you don't feel safe with that type of a spread.
Yeah, crazy stuff. All right, so that's what we're looking at here for this upcoming week and weekend here. It's going to be a nice weekend if you're a football fan for sure, because you get to start it on Thursday, and if you do watch the NFL, you're going all the way through the weekend to watch some playoffs. That's good stuff. Semifinals and then playoffs for the NFL. Have some fun with it. We hope you enjoy it. Hope you make some plays and have some good success here this upcoming weekend. Make sure that you're following here and like, subscribe, get the notifications on this channel so you're always getting our picks here every week from every day we're covering. Like, subscribe, get the notifications on the podcast available on all the major platforms, including our host at Spotify. And then if you are on Twitter, you see the handles there at Cherokee CP, at SJM Bets. We'd love it if you would follow and get our picks, and we'll, of course, share that stuff there and then interact with you any way you would like to. That's SJ Munoz. I'm Chris Parks. Thanks for joining us for another week of picks here from Every Day We're Covering. We'll see you next time for some more covers.